What's up, everyone? So, in this episode, I'm gonna call it an AMA or Ask Me Anything. And good morning or good evening, wherever you are in the world. I am now in Singapore, and it's evening time. So the kids are off to bed today, and so I decided, you know what? Let's do a AMA with the people that I care about the most, which is you guys. And I think right now, especially when we are in a very trying time where folks are losing their jobs, or they are thinking about leaving their job, or they have not enough they have not enough financially. They're struggling because of a certain illness. Sometimes their relationships are not right. It's so hard to deal with all these things. So I think this episode is really just dedicated to you guys, and just wanting to get to know you all a little bit better, because I think most of the time whenever I'm doing the stream, there's so much information that needs to be put out there, and there's so little time to interact. And I just wanted to use this opportunity to get to know you guys, where you're from, and just connect. The whole idea is just to connect. So good morning, Bitcoin Wisdom. I think you probably are one of our admins. Maybe you change your nickname because you have the wrench. I'm not sure what is where you're from, by the way, and at the same time, hopefully, we get an opportunity to discuss a few things. But let me kickstart this particular episode with my particular fears in life, and just being real, and how difficult it is. Just being a person. I think that's the most that's the most upfront thing that I can say. Just being alive these days is just difficult, but at the same time, it's better to have life than to struggle through it and everything like that. I mean, everyone has struggles, right? We are all day to day, we are always wondering what is the best approach. How are we gonna overcome our day to day? Sometimes waking up, going to work is a pain. Seeing the supervisor, or just sometimes you just have nasty people in your life. So how are you gonna how you gonna just approach all these things? How do you handle it? Well, let's just put it this way. Maybe I share a little bit about how I used to deal with my nasty boss, back in the day when I was back in banking. And in banking, I would say that we were all pretty much always putting up a front, okay? And it was very difficult for me to be honest about how I felt all the time, because being honest and truthful just doesn't pay, especially when you're in the corporate world, because it just goes to show that you are, I guess, you being yourself. Good morning, Anthony T from Toronto. Nice meeting you. Oh yes, let me do a few things. Shucks, I almost forgot. Right, so give me a second, guys. I want to welcome my new subscribers. This is something that I've always been missing out. So Ricky Chan, welcome. L Ryder, welcome. Arnold Kine, Ray Getz, Rose 070R, Arun Kumar, PRCS, L Donise, Ryan Jorgensen, Cryptocurrency Mania, Network Marketing Shri, Peter Dynot, and there's Stars Koronchensky Konchek, Jason Cannon, and wow, okay, this is a Korean name, so I can't really pronounce it. So welcome, guys. So guys, right now I think the as I was saying, okay, so back in the day, right, when I was still in banking, back in the day when I was still in banking, it was just so challenging to be myself. Okay, whenever I had a problem, I was always I couldn't share, right, other than with my wife. I couldn't really share about my frustrations or feelings. It was very, very difficult. And whenever you shared something with your friends or whatever, I mean, I had good friends, when I was in banking, some of them. And then most of the time, it was always very superficial and, hi, bye, that kind of thing, acquaintances, not really friends that you can, really pour your heart out. And, being a guy, you tend not to get too emotional about this kind of stuff. And at the same time, whatever frustrations that you have or you had, most of the time you kind of bottled it in. I was never someone who was the afternoon drinker kind of guy. Neither were there any smoke breaks for me because I didn't smoke. So the way I relieved stress was working out. I would usually go to the gym after doing a certain amount of sales. I would just go to the gym in the afternoon, either do some, just go into my whole workout routine. That was kind of like how I spent every day for the past 6.5 years. Okay. And that was like my little sanctuary. And it really helped out a lot because there was a high level of stress being in the banks because it is a sales job after all, and there are monthly numbers that you have to fulfill, or else you're gonna really get it hard, especially when you're very new or when markets are bad. You just can't get the client to sign up on anything, because you personally know that the markets are not favorable for them, and at the same time you know that they are of a certain risk profile. How are you going to get them to buy in on your idea or your investment? It was very, very difficult. So we have those times, and not meeting targets means that you don't have a weekend. You better make sure that you come back over the weekend, do some teleconsulting, and you don't ever get the chance to you don't get a chance to have a life, okay, at that time especially. Yeah. Oh, okay. Hey, cool, man. Bitcoin wisdom. Yeah. So like I said, I think now that you're mentioning this, right, I'm normally driving. I am going to commit to doing a podcast so that you guys, right, I'm not sure. Okay, you see, I'm quite new to the whole podcast thing. I'm not sure entirely how it works, but I think, uploading it and then from there you are able to access it would be very viable, especially I think, because I think podcast is something that I don't know whether it's popular here in Singapore. I guess to a certain extent it is, but I know that it's very popular in Europe and in the US or wherever that has a lot of land, right? Because driving from a rural part to the city is usually about anywhere from 45 minutes to even 1.5 hours. So if I can kind of put in my inspirations, my thoughts, my perspective, my opinions onto an audio, I think it'll be very helpful. I think that is something that I would really want to dedicate myself to doing so. So anyway, back to my struggles, right? So at the time, right, there were times when I was just doing so badly that I just couldn't get a sale in, and we are paid decently well, I must admit. Okay, so when we're paid decently well, obviously there's a very high level of expectation. Okay, and it was very stressful most of the time. I think my wife can be the only one that can attest to it. And sadly, sometimes I take it out on my children. It's actually a very painful thing. And I realized that if I was able to kind of condense all these things, and if I didn't know how to let out my frustrations in the right and healthy way, I know that eventually I would have to either quit or I'm gonna be mentally insane. And I didn't want to be in that situation. And that is why after a while I decided to quit. And it's something that is not easy to do, because at the time I was having Hannah, and Hannah was she was just born at the time, and it was just so it was a scary time. It was a very, very scary time. But my wife knew that I was unhappy, and we really kind of talked about it. And she was obviously still working at the time, and her job wasn't paying her very well at the time. So but I told myself that if I continued the path that I was in, right, I will always be chasing this monthly target, and I wouldn't feel fulfilled. Okay, and that was the whole gist of it. I wasn't fulfilled. I was frustrated. I was just unhappy, pure unhappy. So I told myself, okay, you know what? I needed to talk to my wife about it, and she said, you know what? If this is something that you've already thought it through, and you know that, and God has a plan, and she did say that God has a plan. That's probably a reason why you feel this way, and I support you. And that was something that meant a lot to me. And it is something that I always remember continuously, because I know that it's so difficult for sometimes to have the person that you love to understand your situation, because after all, we're married, and at the same time, it's not easy to have it's not easy to leave your cushy job. Okay, it's never ever easy, and that's the fear, right? Because everyone doesn't fear too much things in their lives, especially when you have a job and you can pay for your little luxuries or your lifestyles. As long as you can go for dinners a nice dinner every once a week or twice a week or 3 times a week, and then you watch the movies, you go a little bit of shopping. Life kind of goes on, but it comes to the point where you ask yourself, are you even progressing? Is this where you want to? Do you see yourself in this particular role for the next 10, 15, 20 years? Do you see yourself retiring in the company, and are you going to be happy? I think you have to ask yourself this. And so that's why I asked myself this many, 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 many times. It wasn't just the built up of frustration. It's not like I was single and I could just do whatever I wanted. I couldn't. I had responsibilities. And I think that when you come to a stage in your life, you usually do it for the children. You usually do it for your wife. You usually do it for your parents, and everyone's circumstance is just different. Okay, so my circumstance was I wasn't happy and I wasn't feeling fulfilled. So I decided, what, it's time to leave. But what was I gonna do? I didn't have a plan. I honestly didn't have a plan, because it was so difficult to once you are already as a professional, you already have the certifications, you have the knowledge already. It was really hard to leave the industry completely. But I said, if I don't do this, if I don't find the balls to do this now, right? And at the time I was probably 31, 32 years old, okay? And you're already at that stage where you kind of don't really want to leave, because anywhere that you jump to at that stage, you would still command a decent salary. But I really didn't want to jump to the same industry. I just couldn't see myself doing that. And so I left. I just resigned, and I said that, okay, if I mess up during this period of time, right, I could still go back, because my license would be relevant for the next 3 years. Okay, so if I really did need to fall back, I could still do that. But I went to a seminar, and this seminar was a Tony Robbins workshop. Okay, and at that point, it was you may say that, oh man, this is those motivational crap, but it kind of happened at the right time. It kind of happened at the right time for me to kind of help me to tune a little bit, because I've never been for any of these kind of stuff. Okay, hey, what's up, Stranger Things, man? So like I said, guys, if you're watching, please feel free to say hi. I don't know why my chat is like so quiet. I'm not sure. Am I like, can you guys hear me or whatever? But just say hi. It'll be nice to at least respond. And to me, I went for the Tony Robbins. It was a $500 workshop, just for 2 days, just to kind of just try to understand what was going on. I think it was something about the power within or something like that. So he came to Singapore for, I think it was after 5 years, then he decided to come. So I was like, oh, okay. Then I just decided to go. And there were certain things like his main talk about everything was limiting beliefs. And I think limiting beliefs, right, is something that is in every one of us. It just comes in different forms. So, hey, what's up, Peter? Hey, man. Wow, from Ireland. Nice. So, my limiting belief, you know what? I want to be very honest. I didn't have a limiting belief, but I was just lacking in terms of ideas. I was always someone who was never fearful about a lot of things. Now that I have kids, what am I fearful? I'm fearful that my kids will, I'm worried about my kids and my family. That's the only fear that I have, right? For me, I don't have much fear for myself, okay? I'm only very fearful for the closest people around me, and of course my parents, right? The people that I love. Anything bad that happens to the people that I love, I'm the most, I'm the weakest at that part. But if you ask me, does negativity get me down? Sure, you can hit me, but overall it doesn't hurt me because I'm a little bit old. I'm 37 years old this now, and social media and all that is kind of like not really the thing that I get hurt by. I don't get hurt because people laugh at me or say my face looks funny or whatever. But I do realize that it does affect a lot of young people, but we'll talk about that later. Being a parent, I'm definitely I'm part of social media. I use social media to build my business, create a presence, build a brand, and I am concerned about how my kids will react to social media, right? Eventually, they will be exposed to Instagram or whatever social media at the time when they're a little bit older, right? But for now, for me, I'm not too concerned. So I asked myself, okay, if he mentioned a few things. If you really wanted to start overcoming fear, you need to cut your limiting beliefs and you have to take action. So that was like, it was very simple for me, okay? Taking action and eliminating your limiting beliefs. So since I didn't have much limiting beliefs, right, I just had to go and take action. But I had no idea. So he kind of like grouped us up into little groups and we had to discuss what we really wanted to do. And I didn't have an idea, okay? I'd be very honest with you. I was blank. I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Okay, I was lost, and most of them, they were still in their jobs, so they clearly knew what they wanted to do or they planned to do it, right? So for me, I didn't have an idea. I just said I wanted to start a business, but I didn't know what kind of business to start. There was practically a little bit of money, but there wasn't a lot of money to really do a lot of things, right? So I was kind of stuck at that point. But we exchanged name cards, and we did form like a little group, right? And we try to connect once in a while. But at that time, I was still lost, right? And I told myself, okay, how about this? How about going into something that I could do on a daily basis? So I started doing personal training, and I got the license. And then I was able to coach, at least train people on a regular basis. And that kind of got me started, or at least something to do and, make sure to have some income, right? And from there, I also was dabbling into a little bit of internet marketing and network marketing. So these aspects, the network marketing was more people interaction. That I had no problem because I was interacting with people on a daily basis anyway, okay? And that wasn't a problem. Network, on the other hand, internet marketing was a whole new ball game. I was like thinking, how do you brand yourself on the internet, and you watching at the moment, you'll be probably thinking, haha, no, it's pretty easy. It wasn't easy for me. If you look at my Instagram or whatever, right, it was never something that I did regularly. I found it a chore to post pictures. At the same time, if you look at my Facebook is of course private. It was mostly just for my friends and family. It's nothing, guys. Honestly, it's nothing. So I asked myself, how does this work? How do people even make money online, And that kind of got me thinking. And I started to search on YouTube because I'm someone who is a visual learner. Okay, so being a visual learner, I was someone who only knew how to absorb information the quickest and fastest visually, right? So that's why Tony Robbins really hit home with me. And at the same time, the YouTube started to be my source of information. And I am very surprised that YouTube became a very, it was full of information. And the very first internet YouTuber that I started following was Casey Neistat. Now, Casey Neistat at the time had only less than 1 million followers, subscribers, when I was watching him. And he came up with this challenge where he would dedicate every day. So he used to be a short film maker. So he used to do short films, or he just used to do films, right? And he dedicated his time to commit, and he was my age. I think he's 1 year older than me or 1 year younger than me. So I was like, wow, this dude is quite insane, because he was dedicating every day. He would have one video, and he committed to doing that for like 365 days. And that was like I was like, okay, I was kind of hooked. Okay, I guarantee you I was hooked. And I could not stop watching how he would dedicate his time. And at the time, he already had an eldest son, okay, that I think is in the teens already, because he was a father when he was very young. Okay, so that already caught my attention, right? Because I'm a father too, right? I'm the same age as him, and he's a father too. And with his wife, right? He has a very young daughter, and the daughter is I think slightly older than my daughter, right? Or probably the same age. So I was like, how is this person having the mental strength? Okay, he runs every morning. He wakes up really early, like 5 or 4 o'clock, and goes and runs, throughout New York, does all the B-roll and stuff like that. And it kind of got me thinking that, hey, this is something that I probably could do. But I was not a filmmaker. I have no editing skills whatsoever. But I just knew that I needed to start doing something on YouTube. And it started off with very simple videos, okay? Like just talking about, mindset, fulfillment, finding yourself, how do you build a business around YouTube, that kind of stuff. And I was just figuring out how all these things work. And obviously it was not very popular. In fact, right now, I would say that I'm still growing, okay? I'm still growing. And it was at this time I realized, okay, how am I going to take this to the next level? So cryptocurrencies kind of came out. And when cryptocurrencies came out, I was someone who was already very familiar with risk and trading and investing. And at least I kind of felt that I could help this space out and try to help people understand at least what they were buying, or at least what were the risks involved. Okay, so I started talking about it on YouTube, and from there, things started to kind of pick off, and the channel did grow. But as the market, as we all know now, the crypto market is now in a bear market, and so I suffered in terms of subscribers. I never slacked on my content, but I did lose a lot of subscribers because I guess people got burned. Oh wow, okay. So I was in a bad crash 2 years ago, not able to do my old job, and I learned how to be a market maker watching Noon's Crypto Cave on YouTube last year, and was learning and a learning curve this year. I'm doing amazing. Oh, awesome, man. Yeah. So Stranger Things, use social media to your advantage. Fill your social feeds with nothing but positive influence. This way you can never procrastinate, since you're always watching things that will benefit your mindset. That is right. That is right, man. So you see, with the power of live stream, that's why if you notice, right, I still prefer to do live stream rather than post-production, which I also do, right, on the channel. And I always think that the internet is actually very powerful. It's something that I can always leverage on. And at the same time, because the Casey Neistat kind of inspired me to kind of kickstart on my social media, route and doing personal branding and whatnot. And from there, I stumbled upon Gary Vaynerchuk. And Gary Vaynerchuk is also another big time advertising, marketing guru. Okay, whether you call him guru, entrepreneur, businessman, to me, he's like a mentor. And obviously, we have never met before, and that's the power. I obviously, he inspired me to start my own media and marketing company, right, where it's focused on education. And from there, I never thought that I would even start a company. I was always thinking, I was kind of happy that I was starting to make money from home as an individual. And it never occurred to me that I would ever, it would never occur to me that I would ever have an office or even have staff and all that. I never ever thought about it. But things really took a turn, and I'm happy where I am, but we are definitely still working the ground. We are not being complacent, and that's something that Gary Vee taught me, right? With his thoughts on clouds and dirt, where be willing to, very crudely, be willing to eat shit for a very long time if you really are looking for that financial success or, being happy in your life. The pursuit is always something that you have to work for. You have to work for it, okay? It's not free, it doesn't come easy, and there are a lot of sacrifices. And day in, day out, whenever I tell myself I don't want to do a video, it's just so difficult because I don't know what am I going to talk talk about with my guests. Talk about with people online. Will there even be anyone watching? Then I told myself, you know what? It really doesn't matter, because you never know, right? That your video, your audio, or whatever that you're publishing, right, could actually inspire someone. You really don't know that, right? So I told myself, okay, because these individuals inspired me, right? And I was able to find success just by watching these people, right? And I've never met them live, guys. Like, never ever have I once had the opportunity to meet them live. And you know, it's because I'm all the way here in Singapore, right? So I mean, yes, Gary Vee has come to Singapore, but at the time when he was here, I was away I was away on a holiday, and I could not, you know, even have the chance to meet him at Rice. So I didn't have the chance. So but then the whole gist of it was, because of the internet, I was able to kind of push myself to the next level. And by watching just videos, right, and taking action on a regular basis, I was able to do that. So I told myself, okay, I must make sure that I create content that can inspire the next generation. And therefore, if you have been with CG or Crypto Grinders channel, we've always made sure that we have a motto where we want to have 1 million people debt-free. Now, this 1 million people debt-free, let me define it for you guys, okay? That is our mantra, right? Where we want people to get educated. And it's not just about crypto. It's about being financially savvy so that you make the right decisions in your life. You don't fall into the traps that I had, right? And don't fall into the trap that other people have of you, right? These are the things that I kind of want to advocate. So, for example, when I was in banking, it was always about looking good and not, you know, just not being enough. You know, we were always we as bankers, we tend to be a little bit proud, and I wasn't a proud person, but I knew that I had to carry myself well enough and professionally so that at least, you know, clients wouldn't like look at you and like, wow, you are probably not doing too well. You know what I mean? So we would always make sure that we would, you know, we always made sure that we have the nicest watches, we drove the best cars, we made sure that we have the nicest wallets, bags, or whatever. Okay, at least for a man, right? We had to be well groomed all the time, and to me, I would never stinge on my suits. Okay, so it came to the point where I asked myself, what is the point of having all these things, right? But I wasn't able to have enough money in the bank, okay? So I was always spending way too much. So that's my pitfall number one. Whatever commissions that I made, and please take note that whatever commissions I made was in the realm of high 5 figures, okay? And this was something that was quite crazy. And I caught an episode on Dave Ramsey once where, you know, he calls people and, I mean, it's kind of popular, you know, where you can call people in the States, they call in and then they share about their problems. And I felt that I was one of those people. Like, I never had credit card debt, okay? Just so you know, I never had credit card debt. I lost money in stocks when I took an equity loan from my parents' home, but that's another episode. But I was someone who never had enough because I was always spending on, my grooming and looking good and whatnot, that I never had enough in the bank. Okay, that was something that was very bad. And I hope that anyone watching this, especially if you're still very young and you are able to make a lot of money when you're young, try to spend the money as wisely as possible. Now, it may seem so difficult because when you have a lot of money when you're young, okay, or sometimes a lot of money to you may not necessarily mean like you're having thousands of dollars. Sometimes maybe you're earning extra few $100s a week and you blow that on sneakers, buying some branded stuff, or just going out for drinks with friends or whatever. That's really okay, but try to budget yourself in such a way that you leave some money behind and build something, okay? I cannot emphasize this enough because if I can turn back the time, right? And if I told you how much I spend on all these fucking luxury goods, right? I feel like kicking myself like 100 times. If I could go back in time, that was what I would actually do. I would kick myself so hard and tell myself, why the fuck did I spend on all these things? And when I look back, all these things, right, are just material items that I tell you, the pain when I think back on it, if I had just put all that money into the business that I have now, I can hire like extra 5 more people, okay? And that would turn an ROI for me, okay? And I hope that you start thinking this way as well, because you never know. Okay, right now you may think, Ryan, I don't really have a business at the moment, so why should I, why should I bother? Don't mind me asking. Well, you don't. If you're not going to start a business, you don't have to care about all these kind of things. But if you are, somehow if you're planning to start a business, this is something that you should do, right? And if you still have a job, you should save every penny, okay? You should save every penny and just, at least until you decide what you want to do, right? Hey, by the way, guys, buying stuff for yourself is okay. Please, don't get me wrong. When you've been working so hard, 30 days a month, 31 days a month, it is okay to spend on yourself. But please try to understand that you never know when you need the money for something greater. That's what I'm trying to say. You never know when you need the money for something greater. And when you don't have enough money, right, to go and do something, and at that point, maybe you're in dire straits or you're just desperate to leave your job. At least you have that little war chest that you set aside after watching this video. You know what I mean? And that is something that I really don't want to go through that ever again. Not having enough. And I tell you, when I'm saying not having enough, means that my wife had to support me with a little salary. And at the time, she was not even making $3,000. And she support my ass as well. Okay? And it was very, very, very difficult. Okay? 3,000 Singapore dollars is really nothing, man. You know what I mean? Buy domains. I mean, hey, like I said, I know about that and do squatting, but I don't do that. I mean, I can. These days, if we do, I have someone who is so experienced with that, where we could buy, and then after that we do a lot of backlinking and whatnot. But hey, see, all these things, I can talk about it now. I can converse with all this kind of stuff, but I didn't think about it. Like I said, I am someone who was oblivious, okay? If you ask me about financial stuff, it's okay. Capital markets, okay. But if you ask me about the internet and, stuff that you can do on the internet, I was clueless then. But I'm definitely way better now. So you see, that being said, always try to build a war chest for yourself, okay? So that way, if anything that happens to you, no problem, right? You're definitely able to handle it. So now, what really matters, okay? What really matters in life? To me, what really matters in life right now is the health of my friends and family, okay? I focus more on health. I definitely take care of the food that I eat more than anything, right? And it's kind of like it's kind of hard to say, but I guess I'll say it, that if I were to go today, what will I regret the most? Honestly, I wouldn't regret anything. Okay, I wouldn't regret anything, but I would worry whether my wife would be okay, right? I would worry whether my mom and dad would be okay, right? That is kind of like what I'm worried about. But if you ask me at this point in my life, I'm pretty happy and satisfied of what I've achieved as a person, to the best of my abilities, with what kind of financial ability I had. You know what I mean? Like I said, I don't know whether you guys know me or not, but I never had a lot growing up. Okay, my parents were always able to give me the best of what they could give me, but I'm no trust fund baby. In terms of whatever connections that I made, I gradually built that up and built a reputation along the way. That was me. That is me. And I told myself that if I was to ever do social media, I want to be as authentic as possible. And therefore, I'm still, doing stuff from my bedroom, which is, well, this is not my bedroom, this is my living room actually. But things are still the same. I told myself that if I was to ever be on YouTube, on social media, I know that there will be a lot of demand and negativity sometimes. but I told myself, you know what? I need to put myself out there, because if I can create something from nothing, I'm sure that I can teach someone else to create something from nothing as well. And as I learn stuff, you see, I am given this opportunity to kind of offload the information as I see it in real time. Hence this live stream. You see, I don't want to hold anything back, right? And the whole idea is because I never know whether this piece of information could actually be useful to someone else. And that someone could go out there and start executing their plan earlier than, being in my situation at the Tony Robbins workshop and not have any ideas. And that is something as a early 30s kind of guy, where you just left your job and you kind of like wonder, wow, what's the plan, And not only that, being married, that means I have a responsibility to kind of bring in the bacon, as they say, for my wife, right? And yeah, I mean, these kind of things, and trust me when I say this, it was a very, very trying time. But you know what? We always, as human beings, right? If you mix around with the right people, you will always overcome, because these people, right, will see you through. And that is why if you are now having friends, right, that are not helping you in terms of progressing in your life, you have to really rethink and find a new bunch of friends. I know it's very, very hard to do, because maybe these friends were the ones that grew up with you for the longest time, and you've known them for a very long time. And if they are progressing in life, right, you have to start asking them. Sometimes maybe the problem is with you, where you are too proud to ask them, hey, how are you doing it, bro? You seem to be doing very well in your career, or you seem to be doing very well in business. But sometimes as friends, right, we kind of feel very shy to ask. And that is the part where you shouldn't do. I think the one thing about me is that I've always been a student. Okay, and I kid you not, although I didn't know how to define it, right? But I was someone who was always willing to be a student, even until now, right? My videos, I don't care about my views. I care about what people say. And I do get discouraged when people don't comment. Then I was thinking, did I ask the wrong question? Or maybe the topic was a little bit too dense. Maybe the video was too long. I always ask myself all these things. But I told myself, hey, maybe because I didn't have the right content or something like that. So that is the thing. So I asked myself, if I can create content that people like, that means they will start commenting, you see? And that means I hit home on certain aspects. And this was the part where I told myself I have to improve. Is it because I have to do more videos? Is it because I have to do maybe shorter videos? Do long form, short form? I always ask myself, do I have to have better quality so that people can listen to me? Do I have to do better audio? So I'm always consistently improving. And also, if you are really stuck, right, I think Media, this channel, Think Media, they do a lot of great work, and they have a lot of strong. His name is Sean, right? And he does a lot of he helps YouTube influencers, or how to build your influence with video, right? And it's so impressive, And I realized that the one thing I kind of figured out, right, that the best marketers are always from the West, which is in America. Really the best, I must still hand it to you, that it's always from the West. And in Singapore, right, there seem to be very little YouTubers that focus on this aspect. Most of them are either live or they're really old. So I'm like kind of in the middle. I don't really see much young YouTubers. Well, there are very popular YouTubers in Singapore, but most of the content that they create are really focused to the millennials. Now, sure, they do have topics about motivation, eating, and whatnot. So it's kind of like a mixture of entertainment, but very few talk about business. Nobody likes to talk about business, especially when you're young and when you're not successful yet. But I want to be able to document all this. And I think documenting is something that's very unique for the current space. Because when I look at my peers, right, the ones that did leave banking, and whether they are successful or they are not successful, right? No one is really documenting their journey. Okay, and I do have successful, very young, successful business people, but they are definitely not on social media the way I am, right? And sometimes I wish that I could really reach out to them and say, hey, can I bring you onto the show? But they are kind of like very shy about it, and they feel that they are not successful enough. So it kind of dawned on me, how successful do you need to be, right, before you decide to come on board and start sharing? So it kind of dawned on me, because the very first time that I did videos, I wasn't successful. And to be honest, if I want to benchmark myself, I wouldn't say I'm very successful either. But I'm definitely growing, right? I'm definitely documenting. I'm still putting out content. And to me, I think that some of these guys, right, some of my friends, they are so young. They're not even 30 years old, but they have achieved so much. And I was thinking, why can't I bring this dude onto the show? And I did ask, and by the way, he just said no. Right, he just feels that he's camera shy, and he wouldn't know whether he will be able to even communicate the message. And he says that he does watch me, but it's not the same. Like, he says that he just feels it's weird. So I realized, oh man, okay. So I started asking people who were older than me, right, who are in their 40s, successful as well. And I said, would you? And by the way, when I mean successful, this family runs one of the top restaurants in Singapore, okay? And I said, hey, you know what? Could you come on the show and I kind of interview you, and you share your thoughts about the struggles that you went through? He said, sorry, no go, Ryan. I'm not that kind of person. Then I'm like, okay. And I know his story, man. And if you really sat down and listened to his story, right, you would be so thankful. And you would really cry, because as an entrepreneur now, especially now, I always have the stress of not having enough deals to pay my staff. Revenue is always an issue where we think about our overheads and whatnot. And this family, right, they've been running restaurants for, I don't know, 40 years. And I was always wondering, could I bring this guy on the show? And I know that that F&B is big everywhere around the world. But unfortunately, he doesn't want to share, not because he's selfish, but he just feels that he's just too shy. He doesn't even do consultation. He's just sticking his head on the ground and working all the time. And only now, after 40 years, he kind of can take a little bit of a backseat. He's smiling more. We get to see him more often. And yeah, but a large part of the time when I was growing up, and these are my family friends, okay, and I never saw him much, okay, and even his children never saw him much. Only until much later in life, when they were more mature and they went through to help out in the family business, they realized that how difficult it is, and that is the eat shit part. Are they rich? They're very rich. And I always take all these examples and I'm like thinking, how am I going to deliver this? Because it's not me. I'm nowhere near this fella, and I'm nowhere near this fellow. Do I have the right to even, do this kind of content? So I asked myself, I have to start building my own business, and that's what I'm doing. And I told myself that even though I am not a $5 million business yet, I still want to do this. I still want to make this a habit, a daily habit. Every day I must tell myself I want to do one video to make sure that I help anyone I can, or at least I share the struggles that I'm going through, right? The things that I don't know, maybe maybe my viewers are more familiar than me, right? I will never say that, hey, I'm the one all be all. I'm very, very willing to listen to other people as well, right? And especially if your comments are constructive and helpful, why not? Right? That's the whole idea of the internet, right? To be able to connect and find information and, be resourceful to one another. You see, it's not about always hate, negativity, bad news all the time, because there can be positive stuff that could be useful for a lot of people. And that's the power of the internet, and you can really learn a lot of stuff. So to me, this is something that I hope that I can always continue to do. Whenever I wake up in the morning, I get very, very motivated, because I know that potentially I could do a video, and at the same time at night, if I can, I also want to do a video. this is kind of like the aspiration that I've always had. And creating content, right, it's really something that I've always enjoyed. And even though I don't make money from YouTube, guys, if you watch my content, I mean, you don't make a lot of money from YouTube, okay? Especially for me at this stage, okay? Really, trust me, it's nothing. But I feel that it's enjoyable. You see, it's like my outlet where I can share information. And of course, when I'm watching you, I'm watching this and I'm making this video for you guys, I sincerely hope that, you know, it was of value and it will help you kind of overcome your limiting beliefs. At the same time, I hope that it will help you to kind of find out what really matters to you. And, you know, you quickly identify these things in your life and you start overcoming those fears. Because if you don't overcome all these fears early, or you kind of like deny it, you're too proud to admit it or whatever, right? It really doesn't help you, because you want to quickly solve the problem in your life so that you can move forward. And life is all about moving forward. It's never about staying stagnant. And I know that sometimes, right, I know some of you are just too proud to admit that you need help. I am someone who was at that point where I broke down because I realized I needed help. And the only way that I could build the business that I have today is to ask for help and not be too proud to admit that I don't know something. And that was something that, even though I'm someone who's I'm not egotistical, but I'm someone who does have an ego. I think everybody does have an ego. But for me, I was someone who, hey, I really don't know how to do this. Could you please teach me? And that was something that I guess to a certain extent, how I built the relationships with the people that I know today, the network that I have today. Because if I'm proud about something, naturally I want to make sure that I show you that I can do it. Okay? That's one thing. I'm not blowing my trumpet, but I am confident about certain things that I do. There's a difference between being confident and just being pure jackass, right? These are two different things, okay? And because I am someone who is mature enough to know what I know and what I don't know, and I don't consider myself an expert, I consider myself a practitioner. So I think the most important thing is that you need to be a practitioner in life and always be willing to learn. When you get cocky, you are more like a glass, like half full than a glass half empty. You see what I mean? Because if you think, right, that you are someone who has, you know, you've been doing something for so long, and you just feel that whatever you're telling me is bollocks. I've been doing it for like freaking 15, 20 years. You have no right to talk to me, right? Never ever do that. Because the next generation, okay? The next generation, hey guys. The next generation is going to come in and they're going to have better ideas than you. I know this because my whole team are millennials. They think faster, they are more energetic, they have no to low liabilities, they are free of, you know, they're really clear about what they need to do. And when I observe my team, right, they are a very sharp team. You know, sometimes I ask myself why I wasn't that sharp, or why I wasn't just as intelligent as them when I was their age. And we're talking about 10 years here. So when I turn 40 in 3 years from now, I'm going to look back and the next generation will be Hannah's time. You know, my daughter's time, those who are 21 and below. And sometimes when you think that you're young, means that you don't have enough money, that's not true. You have time, you have speed, okay? And one thing I know about the young these days, they are definitely more resourceful. So where are you dedicating your energy? You could spend your energy on random things, like watching aimless videos, or you could be spending your time with people that are not going to help you progress. You could be reading stuff that doesn't really help you at all, right? But you know what? Who am I to say that you can't be a world-class gamer? Okay? Who am I to say that you are, by reading all the comic books that you read, next time you're going to be a world-renowned artist or graphic designer? Or perhaps all the comics that you're keeping right now are going to be worth something, that you're going to be able to start a shop and sell all these comics online because you can give excellent reviews on YouTube. You see? Because I'm someone who is part of this social media phase, I think very differently. I will never say that your idea is stupid, because you never know that your stupid idea or your silly idea that when you shared it with your friends and everyone laughed at you, and the next thing you decided to go and just do it. And that's the thing, right? Never let someone else tell you that this won't work. Go and do it first, and then after that, if it doesn't work, after some time, then you think about something else. But never let someone else, because people tend to be very worried, right? They say, oh, okay, I'm going to start this little business, or this, I have this idea, and you share it with your best friend, you share it with your parents, you share it with an entrepreneur, and suddenly they kind of shoot you down because they don't get it, right? So there are two outcomes. One, you respect them enough that you will take it into heart, and you will let that be your limiting belief. That shit, this person that I really trust thinks my idea is not so good. Now, of course, if the person cares about you, they will naturally say certain constructive things. Have you thought it through? Do you think that there's a market to do this? Do you have enough money to go and carry this idea out? How are you going to do it, right? So all these things, right, you have to start. That's why being a practitioner is very important. And never ever let people tell you that it's a crap idea until you start in motion and you've been doing it at least for a certain amount of time. Okay? This is I cannot emphasize this enough. That means, all in all, just take action, guys. And when you just start taking action and you just go through the motion, Don't care whether I think it's dumb. Don't care about whether someone else thinks it's dumb. As long as you find that this actually could be quite viable. Now, obviously, you can do market research, go and read some business books about this particular idea. Has it been executed before? Is there even a market for it? You have to go and think in depth. You don't watch this video and then after that you go and start doing it, but you didn't plan. You still have to plan, okay? So whatever that idea that you have in your head, stop putting it in your head. It must be materialized. If it doesn't materialize, it will never make you any money. Simple as that, okay? And yes, passion is awesome, and passion helps you to eat shit and be happy at the same time. That's what passion is all about. Because when push comes to shove, right, and you only think about making money, you're not going to make it. I just tell you very honestly. When there are times when I ask myself, why am I doing this business? I say I'm doing it because I know that someone out there could find this valuable. And I don't care about whether or not there's only one person watching. I've done streams when only one person was watching. I have. And I will always continue to do it because there are right now 8 people that are spending the time to watch this. You see? And these 8 people are dedicating an hour of their day, 30 minutes or whatever, to take the time to watch me. So no matter what, I will give the full value. I won't say, oh, fuck, there's only 8 people watching or 1 person watching. Fuck that person. I won't do that. Because eventually, when there's 1,000 people watching me, 10,000 people watching me, it will still be the same me. You see? Maybe the venue will be different, but it will always be me. Because I will always consistently be doing it. And, it's about growing an audience. That is the fun part. Because if you're already there already, right? If you already made it already, where's the fun in that? You know what I mean? It's about the journey in your life. It's about how you struggle, and eventually once you attain success, right? You will look back and you will say, wow, I can't believe I did that. And that is what I really want you to do. When you look back and you'll be like, damn, I can't believe I really pushed myself. I can't believe by watching one video, I was able to do all this, And sometimes it's really just a push or a book, It can be anything. Listen to an audio tape. I really don't know. It can be anything, guys. I seriously kid you not. It could be just talking to someone you've never spoken to before. It's just that random, right? And right now, if you really need some inspiration, and for now you're not getting that in your life, I hope that you can find that this channel will be able to provide you with that. You know, no matter how tired I am, how late it is, I will definitely be always here. And that's why I focus my time to do more live streams. So just in case if you guys want to talk, right, you still can. I will always dedicate time. I'm just only worried that sometimes my kids wake up and, you know, it's very difficult to do videos when I have young children, because my kid will be running all around. And right now they don't know what social media is all about, right? And I don't want to expose them to social media too early, because there are a lot of things and there are a lot of aspects that they don't really think about. And to me, I want them to kind of come into social media on their own, and not like I'm imposing it on them just because they are cute or whatever. I never use my children as a gimmick, if you're wondering, okay? As much as I'm very, very proud of my children, I love my children to bits, and I love my wife to bits, but I will never expose them, you know, and because it just doesn't really link, although family is very important, but it just doesn't link, because the show is about me, right? It's about how I am carrying my life, and I hope that eventually, if that's your thing where your family can get involved, that's cool. Nothing wrong with that. There's no right or wrong, by the way. It's you know, that's the beauty about YouTube. There's no right or wrong, okay? It's just about how people perceive your content. If people want to consume your content for you eating a raw egg every day, yeah, why not, right? If you're someone that can write or draw upside down, and that's something that is unique, people dig that, why not? It's really cool. That's the whole thing. It's just cool. And I get excited when I start talking about all this kind of stuff, because I know that one day, right, someone's just gonna be so inspired by what I'm sharing today, and eventually I hope to see something interesting coming out from their channel, or from them, or, you know, somehow I just spark them or push them enough that they go out there and start making $1 million. I don't know. I've done that before, right? I've done that before with crypto. Right now I'm starting a new series where it's called Bedroom to Boardroom, and I hope that helps out, right? It's just unique. So everything that I do, there can be a series that falls flat completely, like Millennial Minds. That was a complete flop, right? No one was watching it, right? No one really liked it, right? And you know, we had to can the whole series, and I thought that this channel would, you know, really be rejuvenated with young people, and it kind of didn't. So all these things I'm experimenting, right? And sometimes I lose subscribers because it wasn't me, or I didn't give enough content. I don't know. But right now, I'm going to enjoy the journey, and I hope that as many people can follow this journey with me, and I hope that eventually you will find your path and don't watch me anymore and go and find your calling. And I really, really sincerely mean that. I'm not even pushing you away, but I really want you to take action. Because if you don't take action, right, you cannot find the success in your life. And whatever that, whether it's a number, whether it's spending more time with your family, whether is it buying a nice home in the city or in the suburbs, whether is it, you know, being able to travel 6 months a year, I really don't know. But I really need you to go and do it. Because if you don't go and do it, someone else will live your dreams for you, and you're going to end up always envying that person for no reason. Because perhaps you were capable enough. You have the skills, you have the knowledge, but because you had limiting beliefs, you had a fear of people, you know, telling you shit that you shouldn't be hearing, and you didn't execute. I die inside knowing that someone that could be inspired by what I'm saying today didn't go and do it. I'm very, very worried. And that is why I will always be coming out selling the same shit, telling you the same shit until you get it. You see? Because I had to be reminded consistently of how fucked up my situation was. Every day waking up, not having enough, and worried for my wife worried for me, my kids not knowing shit about my situation, my parents always wondering whether I was okay or not. I don't want anyone to be in my situation, because it's very, very painful. It's very, very difficult. And so, my friends, that is all for today's stream. I'm really very thankful that you guys are here today watching this. You know, share this video if it helps out. You know, maybe it's a little bit long, but if you feel that someone could use this, share it, share this video, and of course give it a like if you felt that, you know, it was of value to you. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to click on the notification bell, and we'll see you in the next live stream, guys. See ya.